by Rose Tremaine called Trespass, and that was the starting point. It began as quite a faithful adaptation, and then the financiers asked me to make it mine, and it kind of grew away from the novel, and so ended up in a way being inspired by the novel. That was the starting point. It's about adult siblings who are kind of forced into a situation where they have to deal with a very difficult past, and they find it really difficult to communicate with each other, and it's really about how they've coped with trauma in very different and conflicting ways, and they're really desperate to connect, and they love each other, but really it's the journey of them having to confront it and having to put those coping mechanisms that they've both learnt to one side, so that they can kind of finally reconnect.
Well, Clio is one of the reasons why I wanted to do it, obviously. I've just seen her work before, and she's a poet, I think, visual poet, and has such sensitivity towards the material and the characters that she puts on screen. And this, it read like that. It was very sparse. I mean, it becomes even more sparse in the final product, but it was so sparse on the page. But there was something very pure about these two and about this connection. And I knew already poetry was coming off the page. I knew that Clio was going to do something special with it. So I just wanted to work with her and be in that world. And, you know, yeah, it's a challenge. You're working with sheep and you're on a farm, and I knew it was going to take a lot and demand a lot from me, but I don't mind those jobs. For me, they're more, that's a good thing about our job. We get to do that for 5 weeks and then go back to Hawaii, you know. It's all right, but I like the idea of that.
Because I think a big part of the challenge was, how do you do that how do you get inside somebody's head on film? And I think, you know, what Ruth is very brilliant at is nuance and rigor, really, and being very present and very strong and vulnerable simultaneously. So you can access Alice. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think we had a long process, well, not that long, but about 6 weeks prior, we were discussing it. Lots of research went into it as well, as to not only the farming, the physical side, but there's a lot about the psychological side and about these intrusive memories. And that was one way, that was how you access what these intrusive memories are about, and when do they come, and how do they affect her when they come. And it was fascinating. I mean, Clio had already done all the work, but for me to sort of jump on that and talk to the experts that she had talked to, and then discovering how we find that visually as well. But it was a joy. But we had Mark as well, who was an absolute, I mean, he's brilliant, and he I loved working with him. I think we both did, because he was coming with new things all the time. He was testing things out, and he gave it that improvisational feel at moments where he was throwing things out the window and trying something else. And but a joy to be around as well. And on such tough material, you need some lightness, and he helped with that, didn't he?
Definitely.
But, no, it was a hard job. I'm not saying it was easy. It was very difficult, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was truly collaborative.
Yeah, no, totally, because you make something and you don't know, until you have an audience.
And I've seen it once, and when I saw it, I came out and I was like, wow, it's sort of, like you were saying, it's so nuanced. The beats are all there, but they're fleeting, and they're not pummeled down the audiences. They're not sort of thrown at the audience over and over again, but they are. It's so detailed and familiar. And of course, not everyone has that experience in life, but those sibling relationships are familiar, and how people interact with each other. And I was like, wow, it's kind of holds, like, it feels like a sort of moment, a held moment. The whole thing, the whole film. Yeah. It's kind of, it's special.